Okay, so yeah, NFL, what is it? Week 16? So we're gonna do like a shortened version this week. Most of the games are off the did have numbers up all week and kind of go from there. But it's interesting too to see a lot of these books just pulling the games completely off the board when there's uncertainty. Um, and then some books will actually keep
Yeah,
keep a number up, which is kind of cool to see which books are ballsy, which ones aren't, I guess. But
yeah, I have 2 offshore, like, PPH books, and one pulls them and one keeps them up.
yeah,
It's kinda
pretty
interesting.
interesting. I don't know about you. You might be better with this stuff, but I've been trying to figure it out, but I have no clue. These COVID protocols. It seems like the rules are just being made up as they go.
Yeah, it's a lot to, like, get your head around, like, some guys are failing tests, but they might still be able to play,
Right.
I
Like
don't.
who's vaccinated, who's not, if they're showing symptoms. And I'm hearing this new word like viral load. Like
Yeah,
I don't I have no clue what the hell that's all about, but yeah, it really makes for betting at the beginning of the week, a gamble within the gamble.
yeah, it's fraught. I got burned in a situation like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I did some basic little COVID investigating too, and it's like you think,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm good," and then just something can come out 20 minutes later and you're fucked, you
Yeah,
know?
you just hope it's not like the quarterback, like in this situation. Um,
Yeah.
what was I gonna say? But I love the 2 best bets you just posted. I can't wait. I wanna get to those games because, I know we're just gonna agree at, every turn because I literally, like, was thinking of betting both those teams. So, but I also had
Alright, good.
total in that one. Oh, and, real quick, actually, I wanted to mention this before we started, just so anyone listening to the recording or whatever, this I have my alternate power ratings posted, and basically, it's like my alternate power ratings are like what I'm tinkering with and always trying to kind of like find new, um, filters or new ways to kind of do my power ratings because Rich, you'll agree, like anyone who does ratings, it's tough to get them like different from,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Uh, so, with this one, I'm trying to find a way to have the market influence the numbers a little bit. So it's still a work in progress. I posted the results anyway; they're on the screen now. But basically, I'm using openers to test it because this year, for some weird reason, the opening line is actually more efficient than the closing line, and I'm kind of using like this weird ranking system that I haven't quite figured out yet, but it's using like an average point spread on common opponents, and um, it's kind of interesting because
cool.
the Chargers come up as like a highly ranked team in my alternate ratings, and it's because like a couple games, our game against Cincy, they opened 2.5 but closed plus 2.5, and they won by 19, and then there's another game.
Right, right, right.
They
Yeah.
opened -3, closed -3.5 last week and lost, so it's kind of, I don't know, it's still a work in progress, but I figured to, post them and, doing these type of, like, tinkering with your ratings is how you can maybe stumble upon something, good that has an edge,
Yeah,
so
you're always searching, trying to find, trying to adjust and play with them and find ones that, you
yeah,
know, seem more true to the results and the
right.
market and that sort of thing. I like what you said though about the opener being more efficient than the
Yeah,
closing line. That would kind of just to kind of translate that, that would kind of lend us to believe that we should be instead of following these line moves, we should be fading these big line moves and grabbing the
absolutely.
value off the opener.
That's exactly what I was thinking, a lot of this. I feel like there's just so much market manipulation and fake steam going on in the market too. And like we're gonna get to one of these games. Actually, we'll start with that game pretty much. The Saturday night game, Indy in Arizona, and there's a huge adjustment from the look ahead line to what the current line is. Arizona opened -5. They go ahead and lose to Detroit. Oh, I shouldn't say they opened -5. The look ahead line was
Right.
-5. They go and lose to Detroit. Indy beats the Colts. Then the line opens basically at a pick 'em.
Indy beats the Pats.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Indy beats the Pats. Who'd I say? Indy beats the Colts.
Colts, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Indy beats the Pats, and then we get an opener of 1, and the Colts just continue to get sharp money from betting groups week after week. They're already getting money next week against the Raiders. They've already moved from 7 to 8 at a few of the look ahead. So just a huge adjustment in this game here. What are your thoughts? I know you just fired
Yeah.
Arizona there.
Yeah, I did. One of the things though, because I'm always looking at the look ahead and
Yep.
the current line. Somebody made a good point to me. I was talking to them this week, and they're saying, you know, there's pretty low limits on the look ahead, so you kind
Yeah.
of got to
Right.
you got to be careful in putting too much stock in that.
Sure.
But I think this is a spot here where it does actually fit in as part of the puzzle here. Um, this is the spots that I love. Like
Yeah.
we're catching Arizona. Not only are we catching Arizona on a buy low, they just lost to Detroit,
Yeah.
so this is the ultimate buy low spot. But we're also getting to kind of sell high on Indy. They just played on a Saturday night against the Patriots, a game that everyone saw,
Yeah.
and they won, and they were winning by a big margin at one point. But if you actually look into the box score in that game, that was a game that was all about turnovers and penalties. They didn't outgain the Patriots. They didn't outplay them. There was a couple of key plays, the punt block, a couple of key penalties, um, and that was the story of that game. I didn't really come away from that game thinking like, oh, I made a bad bet, or oh, now I'm down on the Patriots a little bit. I actually was impressed by the Patriots in that game, seeing what Mac Jones did when he was down 17,
Yeah.
down 20, that he was able to, when everyone knew he was going to throw it, and he still was able to throw it and come back and get points. Um, Belichick with, again, a little bit of some in-game strategy that the math guys would kind of have a problem with. They're going for the field goal, but I
Yeah.
understood that. I understood that it was 9 minutes left, and they had been playing good defense. But anyway, back to this game. So Arizona, like I said, I love. I mean, it's not perfect. There's very few like slam dunks. I think I'll never say like it's a lock, it's a slam dunk. DeAndre Hopkins isn't playing. Um, that has me a little concerned. Um, you know, but and they don't have a good run. They don't have a great run defense.
No.
Arizona, they don't. But that's why we're getting this number where we are.
Yeah.
Those are the reasons we're getting this number at -1. We're not even laying 2.5, 3 on Arizona, who has, over the course of the year, they had a bad week last week. They haven't played as well of late, but over the course of the season, they've been one of the best teams in the league, and it's not just their record. The metrics that measure teams, that they'll tell you they're still
Right.
measured as one of the best teams.
Yeah.
Um, and so, to me, it's a combination of. It's not often you get a team that everybody's high on playing a team that everyone's low on based on like a short snapshot of their most recent results like this. It's a kind of a good combination. Um, and that's really the rationale for me behind the spot. I could go into all the numbers, everything. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit lighter on the numbers. I think last week I went real numbers heavy and stats heavy. I'm going to go a little lighter on that stuff.
Yeah.
But that is stuff I do look into, just so there, and just my number, my
Yeah.
number here. What's that?
I said, what do you make the line?
I have this one. I have this one 2.5.
Two and a
So
half. And you know what?
yeah.
So the current line now, basically at a pick, is saying Arizona is a better team than the Colts. And I don't know how you get there right now.
No, that the Colts are better than
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
The line now,
yeah,
is basically saying that the Colts are better than Arizona.
yeah. And I know I was saying -1, but if you, I got the line was -1 and the money line was -115. You just have to grab the money line there. I mean, that doesn't even, that math doesn't make sense. If you were to buy a full point,
Right.
it costs you a lot more than 5 cents.
Yeah.
So the -115 to me, I don't love laying more than 110, but
Yeah.
that that was a no-brainer there for me on the money line. I see it's moved to 120, 125 in some spots, but
Yeah.
um,
So,
yeah, what do you think?
Quentin Nelson was just added to the COVID list. So, Pro Bowl guard for the Colts. Um, Bet Online has moved to 1.5, and I bet you we see Indy take some money. And back to kind of what you said about the openers and the limits being so low. A lot of these groups will use the openers to kind
The
of
look aheads.
get the look aheads, yeah, to kind of well, even openers are kind of, low limits too. I mean, the look aheads are really low limits, but they kind of use that to nibble and,
Yeah, and
set
same
up
with openers. They're
yeah,
at low. They're looking to take action to kind of shape their number,
yeah,
not to, they don't really have their number, solidified yet, so they're not going to be taking huge,
yeah.
bets.
FanDuel's at 1.5 here too. And the matchup advantage, like for the Colts, is clear. I feel like everyone sees, okay, they can run, and Arizona's bottom five in most run defensive categories. Um, but just this number got out of hand. It's too big of an adjustment, but I think we see points in this one. I get the over, and the Colts play a soft like zone pass defense. They keep everything in front of them, which I definitely think will help limit Murray like on the ground. So I don't think he's going to have like a mobility type game, but I think he can dink and dunk down the field. They get a lot of unique like intermediate routes that they run. Um, and I got a note here that says to look at his completion props because I think he's gonna have some success. Like not with yards per se, but just completions. And the Colts have had a double digit lead at one point in 11 straight games. They've lost 3 and they've won the rest, but in 5 of those games, it's come down to the final drive situation like last week against the Patriots. So, I know the Colts can put up points and potentially get a lead, and then that kind of goes to more of a passing script, I guess, for Arizona, which yeah, I think we see big days from like Taylor, or a big night, I should say, on Christmas night, and Pittman. So yeah, I like the over there. But if I was to play the side, and I'm high on Indy too. Like they've been, I get them probably rated higher than a lot of people do, but um, it's unfortunate that like the market has just caught up so quick to them. I wanted a couple more weeks to get down
Yeah,
on, but
yeah.
what?
The market, is and I agree they're better than their record, but
Yeah,
the market on them has them like a top tier team, top 5 team. I'm not sure they're quite there yet. I like them, but I
Erica,
think
Erica just moved to 2 on Arizona right on screen. It just flashed.
oh, there we go.
I
I
think
like
that
it.
Quentin Nelson news right there. I think that because once one guy gets it, who's to say like his right tackle's not going to get it now too. So
Well,
they're
that's the thing with these COVID. There's so many cluster injuries because these guys, that they're in the room together. They're doing a lot of their meetings together. They're spending
yeah,
a lot of the practice time together. They're in the same room,
yeah.
for their meetings. And
Yeah.
Quentin Nelson, he's one of the best linemen in the league,
Oh
and
yeah, sure.
especially for a running attack, the guards are so important.
Yeah.
They have kind of an interior running attack. Um, and even just like I think Belichick kind of started this trend where it's almost like if they want to run it, if they think they have an advantage running the ball, let them run it. Let them
Yeah.
run it, till their heart's content. That's not how you win in today's NFL. You know what I mean? I really feel like guys can fall in love with the run a little too much. And, when the NFL has kind of shifted to chunk plays, passing the ball, running the ball with the lead late, great, you
Right.
know, but early, I think it actually I don't know that it's always a plus EV kind of
Yeah,
move.
well, you know what, running it late too, like, we've seen teams like, that kind of, it brings teams back into the game sometimes, like the Vikings, they have so
Right.
many for, one-score games because when they do have leads, they go to such a run-heavy game script, but,
They're a
uh
perfect example. They run the ball way too much. I
Ye
mean, that team, what are they, 6-7 right now or something? That
yeah,
that it's such a shame because it's their coach is killing them with the running the ball. They went into a game last week against the Bears, right? The Bears had their whole secondary out. They had Roquan Smith back. They had Hakeem, is it Hicks or Nicks back from
yeah,
the D tackle for the Bears, a great run stopper, and
yep,
they just kept running the ball into the middle over and over and over again. Did not take advantage of the injuries and the matchup they had, and it's just like it's so frustrating to watch because that's a team that I like. I would love if they could get into a wild card game. I'd love to back them, but
yeah.
the coach kills me.
I like them, to beat the Rams, we won't get too far ahead, but, the Vikings are 7-7. Thought they were 6-7.
Okay, yeah.
All 7 losses are within, a touchdown or maybe one's like 8 points or something like that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they've played one game that wasn't a one-score game
Yeah,
this year.
which is crazy. Alright, so that's the Saturday night Christmas game there. Uh, we're gonna kinda just go down the list a little bit here, Tampa Bay, Carolina, a lot of injuries there with, Tampa Bay, they're without their 2 leading receivers, leading TD guy, leading rusher. A lot of under action on that game.
Do you
Open
wanna just do you
uh,
wanna sorry to interrupt. Do you wanna just for these ones that we're not gonna do you wanna just give our numbers on them and
yeah, that's what I was thinking we do. I'm gonna do, like,
do a
kinda
little rundown? Yeah.
general breakdown, then just do, our numbers, and then, go over the games that we actually have an opinion on.
Cool, cool. Alright.
Uh, so yeah, a lot of under action hit the came through on this game. Opened at 48 ish, and it's down to what I'm seeing on screen 43. So which makes sense. Both teams' offenses are in shambles. My number gets pretty much right to where it's at now with 11. But we're seeing the number come down a little bit now with all the injuries with Tampa Bay. What do you make this game?
So I'll give my raw number, which for some of you isn't gonna make sense, like it's a
Yeah.
decimal sometime, but it's I got 9.2 on this game, so somewhere between 9 and 9.5. That doesn't mean I like Carolina, just the way the numbers come out sometime. I gotta do a little subjective tweaking. I don't have an opinion on this game.
Yeah, me neither. And do you adjust after for injuries, right?
Yeah, so this number is like a raw number that,
Oh,
basically a function of a bunch of different metrics and home field. It does include home field, but it doesn't include injuries. So that comes after. Yeah.
all right. So next one up, moving right along. Giants Eagles divisional game. Looks like Danny Jones is done for the year. So this is Glennon's team. Uh, no like talk or indication of the Giants going to the kid from Georgia. What's his name? Um,
From
Prom. Yep. Um, So, and Glennon, I mean, actually, Fromm's probably would be a downgrade from Glennon anyway. I don't know, but this game was off the board all week. Eagles continue to get bet. What's my number on this game? I don't have it right in front of me. Some of these games I just didn't even bother looking at.
Yeah, I've got mine here if that helps. I've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
uh where did I put it? Okay, yeah, I've got this close to 10.5, 10.3 is my number. Um and I have the Giants rated at about a negative 6.2,
yeah,
and I've got the Eagles rated at around 2, at a plus
yeah.
2.
Giants 6.75 below an average team, and then I got Philly 1.5 better.
Yeah, so we're pretty similar there.
Yeah. Figure well, our numbers, seem to be pretty, spot on, to each other, and it's weird because we don't use, I don't think, any of really of the same
No.
besides, like, I think DVOA a little bit, but, next one up, Chargers Texans. There was really no adjustment with both these teams coming off losses. I figured the Chargers would take money, but this opened 10 and it's basically at 10.5. Um, Again, COVID stuff. I'm not even going to go through all the COVID stuff, but Bosa, he's going to miss. Eckler, looks like he's gonna miss, but he is eligible because he's vaccinated, so he could clear, I guess. But I'm not, I got nothing on this game. But my number is spot on to this game with a 10.5 when you factor in home field advantage for Houston.
Yeah, I when you factor in home field for me, I've got this one shorter than number. I have it about 8.8.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious where you make what's your rating on the Chargers? Like, no, I know you said your alternate one. You had them real high.
Uh,
What's on your?
Chargers are two. On
Yeah,
my trusted one, like my normal power ratings, I got them two.
yeah, I have them 2.3. So
Yeah, but that was weird when saw my alternate. I have him as the third best. No, was it the 3rd? Yeah, no, no, they actually they're lighter than 2. Oh my god, I have it Rams, LA Rams, I was reading off their rankings,
okay, yeah,
but it's pretty much the same anyway, I mean, but, I read initially the Rams, when I gave their power rating at 6, but, alright, moving right along here, Lions, Falcons. I actually bet Atlanta -6 today, right before Boyle was announced a starter. And This line ping ponged basically all week. There was a big bet on Detroit, and the money still shows on screen here at the market. They're 70%, and some of that's just basically from the opener too. And
yeah. Actually like Detroit a lot at the opener until the golf news came out. My numbers, they don't show this anywhere near 5.5 where it opened. Um, I had this one, Atlanta. Yeah, where's my number? Yeah, I had this one right around like -1 Atlanta.
Yeah. So
Um,
the game where my number gets nowhere near Atlanta 6, obviously because it's not doesn't factor in Goff, but um, I have such a downgrade, even though I don't even like Goff, such a downgrade from Goff to Boyle. The short sample size we saw from Boyle, but um, I've given up on like Detroit after that, like just a situation to letdown spot after that big win. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
you know,
They
let's
still seem to be playing for Campbell, though. I gotta say we
right,
talked about it a couple weeks ago. They're still playing. I mean, I don't know that they're helping themselves in terms of their
yeah,
program on a big picture. I don't know that these wins are really helping them with their draft.
and I
But sometimes, it's more important for the overall kind of culture to be winning
yeah,
ball games.
and I can see Campbell not caring about that type of stuff. Like
Right.
he wants to win every game, and it makes sense. He's a coach, like a first year coach. He's not, what's his loyalty to like 5 years down the road? Draft picks, definitely not.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, how kind
Yeah.
of the interests of the coach and the interests of the GM aren't always, hand in hand.
Right. And speaking of another team that's like out of, well, we'll get to it, but the Bears are a team I like this week because they're playing hard for.
Oh,
Um,
I know. So tough to back them. Did you watch that game though? That was one of the ugliest performances I've ever seen out of a team.
they,
And
they dominated the box score, didn't they?
part of it was Nagy. Yeah, they went down into the red zone about 5 times in the second
Yeah,
half, and every single time they went for it on 4th down trying to get a touchdown. And if they had just kicked field goals on a couple of them, they would
yeah,
have been in a one-score game with they had the ball twice in the red zone, 2 shots at a one-score game to get 8 and tie it. Instead, they were down 14 still because they went for it on 4th down every time. See, that's a situation where I think that you got to know the game situation. You can't just fall in love with the analytics and the math and say, "Oh, fourth downs, got to go for it." You got to know the game situation. They were holding Minnesota. Minnesota was not moving the ball. Those
Yeah.
field goals were worth something there, and they left them on the field, and it was just
Is
ugly to watch.
Nagy even a big analytics guy?
I think he is. I mean, he's one of the younger coaches, and I mean,
Yeah.
he seemed to be playing the analytics that night.
Well,
This guy was
I
coach of the year. This guy was coach of the
right,
year 3
yeah,
years ago.
yeah. You know what I was thinking though too when they were going for it, 'cause, Nagy doesn't really strike me as, like, a guy that does it. It's almost like when you're in a team that's out of it like they are, like, why not just go for it? That's
No,
kind
I get that, but,
of
that
yeah.
game was winnable. I mean,
Or yeah, but I was looking at that box score, and I couldn't remember if it was that game, but, it was, completely lopsided, and Minnesota not just won, they covered.
yeah, no, and it was ugly ending too. They had the old,
Yeah.
Chicago got a touchdown with 0 seconds left. At first, it was called no touchdown, then the old eye in the sky, which is like, what the
Oh,
fuck even is that?
yeah.
Like guys are getting away with free challenges, and, uh, and then they didn't kick the extra point because it was 0-0 and it had no effect on the outcome. Um,
And that closed at, like, 7.5 or I forget what it closed
yeah,
at, but that was a big extra point then, I think, for some people at least.
yeah, yeah, it was.
Alright, next one up, we got, Baltimore Cincy. I got an opinion on this one. What are we looking at?
I
Cincy,
do.
you do too. You fired on this earlier, and it's weird, like, after seeing you fire, it's like, "Why didn't I do that?" One of those things, but
Yeah.
yeah, look ahead line 2. Um, there wasn't really a lot of movement off the opener, but then it started to get some traction. Since he's a team that's been getting a lot of betting support, it did die down kind of like last week. But this one here should be a really good matchup for the Bengals. Ravens secondary. You'd think since he's going to take advantage of that decimated secondary.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Did you see what happened with this? This is off the board in some places, and it's up to 4.5 in some other places.
Oh, yeah, it's 5 right now at 5 times. What happened there?
Yeah.
I don't even know, like, I have it highlighted too, I didn't even realize it 'cause, on my notes, it says no movement off the opener, but I'm now looking at the line being 3 points off of the opener.
I bet it at 3 like an hour ago.
And wow, so you bet Arizona and Cincy about an hour ago, and both have gotten steamed since. Or
Yeah.
maybe you are the steam. Um,
Yeah, you never know.
but yeah, I like points in this one. Regardless of who starts at quarterback for Baltimore, we saw last week that the backup can put up points there. So I like the over here a lot, but I know you fired on the Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals is like a team where I've kind of been fading them all year. I haven't believed. I think they've been a super public team. Like the public fell in love with them early on. They've got the rookie quarterback people know and like, and I think they got one of the worst head coaches in the league. And he's another guy who's been running the ball until they absolutely need to throw, and then they start moving the ball up and down the field. But those are the reasons I don't like Cincinnati. But in this spot, they've run into another team that I'm way down on, and that's
Yeah,
Baltimore. Um, we talked about Baltimore, and their Pythagorean wins being more than or less than their actual wins, but then they've kind of evened that out twice in the last 3 weeks. They've had the ball. Um, they've scored a touchdown to cut it to a 1 point at the very end of a game. Both times they've gone for two, and both times they didn't get it. I actually like the decision. You can win the game with one play from the 2-yard line, or you can tie it. Then you've got to hope you win the coin toss. Then you got to hope you can get a stop. I actually like the decision, but I hated the play call they went with last week against Green Bay. They did a rollout. You cut the field in half. You cut your quarterback's options in half.
yeah,
Um, it was wicked crowded where they were trying to throw it into. I hated the call. I liked the decision to go for it. Hated the call.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is more about I think the Bengals have been moving the ball through the air, and Baltimore still just is really banged up in the secondary. Um, not just Jamar Chase, but T. Higgins has been on a roll the last month, and they've got some good. They got Boyd too. They've kind of have a balanced offensive attack, and yeah, I love this spot here. I think maybe people saw what Tyler Huntley did last week, and that's why it was only 3, and they think this guy maybe can move the ball, or they think maybe actually there's not that much of a drop off from Jackson to him. But here's the thing with that: the more this guy, quarterbacks can come in off the bench and catch a team by surprise for a couple of weeks. The more this guy puts film out there, the more he's scouted,
Yeah.
and then he's going to have a regression to the mean kind of situation coming up. Um, you know, and yeah, I love the Bengals here, but I got it at 3. 4.5 is a whole different story.
That's a big part of the injured player theory. When a backup comes in, it's a lot of times that backup doesn't have film. The defense didn't game plan for them. Maybe it's on a short notice. So, um, you know, that whole like preparation and kind of like um, you know, it lends itself to kind of favor that situation. Um, I meant to text you earlier today. Um, have you noticed Baltimore in, like, other people, like, I would say, like, the personalities in sports betting, like, they have Baltimore, like, rated very high?
Yeah,
You have, and I think you know who I'm talking about, but some of them have, Baltimore rated right alongside of Green Bay, which,
yeah,
interested in what your number on, Bal
my rating,
yeah, just on Baltimore, not for this game, but just what you have Baltimore at.
right? I'll tell you right now. Um, I have them at just over a 1.
Yeah, okay, so I have them point 0.5, so, like, I don't even have them at 1, but, like, I feel like I don't know what it is, but, I'm low on Baltimore, you are too, but, I try not to let, obviously, like, other people's ratings even, like, influence mine. That's, like, the worst thing you wanna do, but, I don't get how, some people have,
Yeah,
Baltimore of Indy.
sharps. There's some sharp guys who love them, and it's from past years. They love their style of play in past years.
Yeah,
This year, and a lot of it was their defense. You can run the ball and do the things they did on offense if you have a great defense. They don't have a great defense right now.
right, right. And another thing I gotta think of too is a lot of them, are heavy on priors, or they weigh that a lot more than I do. Like,
Yeah,
mine's, pretty much like last year, it gets very little to, like, no weight at this point in the season, but, that's probably something, I could actually tweak anyway, but,
yeah, no, but I think you're right. At this point in the season, your prior should be almost stripped out completely from your numbers. They almost have no predictive value at this point in the season.
all right, so we got Rams, Vikings. I like the Vikings here. I talked about that a little bit earlier. I think this is the highest total on the board. Is it? Let me see. A
Along
s-
with Arizona, I think
second highest, yeah, with Arizona and Indy. Oh, they're right around that number. But
both 49. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I really got nothing on this one besides I guess if you bet the Vikings last week, um, you got that win and cover, but you can't complain really about bad beats for a little while because yeah, I mean they got pretty beat up on the box score there, but still won and covered.
Nobody ever seems to recognize that though when they catch a good one. It's
Uh,
always like they always think they're only getting the worst of it. You know.
yeah, and it's human nature there. But what do we
Yeah.
got next after that? Jacksonville, Jets, two shitty teams. I make the Jets 1.5 points better on a neutral field. So my number's pretty much like right in line here because the Jets got bet a little bit today and they're up to -2. So that would put
Yeah,
me right in line.
I like the Jets here a little bit. I had this game, pre-COVID news at about almost -4 for the
Yeah,
Jets, and it was at a pick 'em early in the week, and I was like, "Oh god, that's a big margin for me,"
yeah,
for my numbers in the line, but I did a little research on the COVID situation, and they were just, they had a ton of guys. They had a little outbreak going,
yep.
so I stayed away, and now it's catching,
Catching
the
because it did get hit. The Jets took some sharp money early in the week at the opener, and it reached 3. And then for whatever reason, probably the COVID, it got brought back down to a pick. But now it looks like it's trending uh, back up. Um,
I
but
have them about 2 points different in my ratings. I have, the Jets around a 5.9 and -5.9,
yeah,
and, Jacksonville is almost a -8. So,
yeah, I have Jets -7.5 and Jacksonville -9. So
yeah,
yeah,
so the spread's similar.
yeah. Um, what do we got next? We got a good one next. Buffalo, New England. This time in New England, my number gets right in line with the market here. Yeah, Pat's got some money early in the week, kind of brought it threatening that 3. And then I think they got a little bit of COVID news born, the wide receiver born there. But I like the Patriots here. I liked them in the first game. Nothing's changed for me since then. The only difference is now that they're home. So, and you said a couple weeks ago, Rich, how the Patriots have this rep of being a one-dimensional run team, kind of. Uh,
Yeah,
but they can pass it, and I like them better, kind of in passing game scripts. They didn't have to show any of it the first game, which I kind of like too. Um,
yeah, that's true.
but I like the Patriots here. They're just so much more physical than Buffalo.
We saw them open it up and throw the ball last week, and, Mac Jones is great at going through his progressions and kinda moving the ball around. Patriots have done a sneaky good job at limiting COVID, issues.
Of course,
Kinda
they do.
look at some of the
Like
teams.
they do everything good. It's like
That's
it's
just like an organizational thing, you know what I mean? It's like everybody in your organization counts, especially when it comes to something like this, and it's
yeah.
like, you know, but,
I can picture
yeah,
Bill being big with like the masks or like he's probably got some new technique to limit the spread of that shit. Who knows?
he's probably got someone, assigned to, like, researching it, like some
Yeah,
fucking special project on how they can get an edge off this,
there's a whole
you know?
department, I'm sure.
Yeah. But, yeah, my number here is right in line with the number. I got Patriots around -2.1.
Yeah.
I thought 2.5 was right on. Um, uh, it's tough for me to
Yeah.
pull on this one. I've already got pretty good wager on them to win the division at plus 700. Um, and now they're a much lighter favorite than they were before. Last week they lost, and the Bills won. This game's going to go a long way towards deciding this division. It's pretty much is the division. Uh,
Yeah. What are they? What are the Patriots got for wins right now? I have their over regular season win total, and I think one more
I
win,
think they're
and I
9-5, right?
think I bet it over 10 maybe, or 10 seems like it would be a high number for that. I can't remember what
I
it
thought they
was.
were 9.5.
Yeah, I think it could be 9.5, and the Browns were 10.5, which I'm not gonna get.
Yeah, they're 9-5 right now. Oh,
Yeah,
the Niners last night fucked me. I've got them at 10, I think,
yeah.
and fucking A. That was,
That
but
because
AJ
they
Brown came back. We talk about him all the time as being like
yeah,
their most important piece. He came back, he fucking went off, and
difference.
yeah.
That one sucked because, again, they the box score, the numbers, it's a turnovers, 2 turnovers, that was the difference there.
Yeah, that was a game where I had my couple different books where had 3 and 3.5 at the same time, and so I took,
Yeah,
-3 and then +3.5, and it
yeah,
had a shot if it got to overtime. It was 17-17.
yeah, I almost bet Tennessee, live when San Fran had the ball on the goal line, uh, they're down 7, Tennessee's down 7, but they were, like, +140 for the money line on the game. Down 7, they're gonna get the ball back with, like, 2 minutes left, and they were +140. It was like but, I talk about, like, that one book I have, they're always mispricing live in-game stuff, but, I never ended up, betting it, but,
Yeah. I've been looking at live opportunities a lot more lately, but when people talk about whether they watch the games or not, if you're going to be betting live, you have to be watching the games.
oh,
I
absolutely.
feel like you really have to be. You have to know the exact situation, what's going on. You have to know, get a feel for the game. And I bet the Patriots live against Indy. I caught them at +13.5 after they had turned the ball over in the punt block. I was like, there's just no way this game is,
Yeah.
you know,
You see that in the community, and, like, that's an advantage there watching the games because the algorithm, the live odds, they can't they can't configure that type of stuff, that human element, so unless they have
no,
a trader, like, manually adjusting for it, but, we talked about the live in-game opportunities, with the first Patriots, in Buffalo game with the win
that's
there,
right. Yeah.
know? Yeah, it's huge
Yeah,
if you're watching the actual game, might as well pull up the live odds and track it because there's definitely, certain spots that are available.
it
Uh,
takes more work, but there's
yeah,
opportunities in game. Like another one I had this week was Miami. Okay, Miami went down 7-0 or 10-0 to the Jets. But if you were watching that game, the Jets came out like it was their Super Bowl. They were coming off a bye week, I think, and they unloaded every trick play they had in the books.
yeah,
They were just emptying the fucking arsenal, and they went up 10-0. There was a turnover. They had a touchdown right off the bat. It was 10-0. I took Miami. I think when it was 7-0, I took Miami -3.5 for the game. That closed at 10, -10.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and that's a spot where three. I feel like people are so afraid to lay 3.5. Like
I know, right,
because it's not three. You gotta be okay with laying 3.5 sometimes.
right,
You
and,
know,
like, you don't have to buy down to 3 every single time, too. It's
no,
like that's an expensive half a point, and, after 3 it's pretty much dead numbers anyway. If they're gonna win by more than 3, it's likely gonna be, 7 or whatever anyway after
yeah,
that.
that's the
That
way I kind of look at it. Like, would you be that worried if it was 4 or 4.5?
exactly. Like, it's almost like then you just know it's pretty much like a touchdown or at least 6 points, you know?
Yeah,
Um, but alright, we're into the 4 o'clock games here. Bears, um, Seahawks. I like the Bears +7 here. I bet them already. I laid 115. Fields is day to day, but and this game's like it's kind of like one of those like motivational questions for both sides. But I like the way they played against the Vikings. I didn't watch the game, I should say, but they I saw some of the highlights. They were getting pressure on the Vikings.
the
See,
defense. Yeah,
yeah,
the defense played with a lot of kind of like passion.
yeah,
Uh, and the offense moved the ball between the 20s all day. And this might be a game where you actually have a coaching advantage with Nagy,
yeah.
uh, against Pete Carroll.
I
Yeah,
think he's given up too. Like I could see him throwing in the towel. Like he's used to being in the playoffs and stuff like that.
he's old. He's an old man. He looks young, but he's an old guy.
Right, and Bears, I mean, they've lost 3 straight, but, I mean, Minnesota, Green Bay, what was the other one? Arizona. So and they've been
Yeah, you
competitive.
got 7.
Yeah, I got 7, 6 I think it's 6.5 still right now, and
Yeah,
I, bought the 7 for -115. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah,
and,
this is
um
one of these where it's like hold your nose and
Yeah,
get the points and
the ones I love. I had a couple weeks off where I wasn't doing that, so now I'm like, okay, I can handle it. I can take a couple bad teams and suck it up. But I don't
yeah.
advise anyone to follow along there. What do we got next? Um, Pitt KC. Um, so Pitt hurt me last week, and like we had Pitt as the podcast play of the day last week, which got there for us. But I ended up losing money on the game because I took Pitt first quarter and first half. And a member from the betting network Discord community, Rufus, he's a big Pittsburgh fan. He after I had bet it and told basically posted about it, he was like, "Bro, the Steelers are like the worst first half team in football and blah blah blah, all that stuff." So it got me looking, it was too late. I had already fired in, but um Pittsburgh has been outscored 91-19 in the first half the last 5 games. Um, and then obviously looking at that, I start looking at this week's matchup in KC, they're top 5 in first half scoring. I like KC first half. Um, the COVID stuff is obviously a concern, but I think I'm gonna go with it anyway and just kind of hope that they get some of those guys to play. They had some defensive guys that were already trending to play, so KC's a team that's kind of like built to play front with a lead to the way they rush the passer and Pitt's offensive line ranked 30th in pass block win rate. So I think they can kind of jump out to a lead. I like them for the game too, especially now that the number's gone down below like 9.
Yeah.
No, so yeah,
Yeah, it's tough to fade the Chiefs right now. You're kind of jumping in front of a freight train right now.
yeah,
And like we said, we those are the spots we kind of like. When everyone's loving one side and they're looking like nothing can stop them. But
right.
one of the advantages we have as bettors is we don't have to bet every game.
Yeah,
The
I appreciate that.
the book has to lay a number on every game. We don't have to bet every game.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure. Um,
or
and
hang a number, I should say.
right. The Chiefs, their big weakness is like the deep ball on defense, and the Steelers' offensive line. I don't even think they can buy enough time for Ben to get the ball downfield. But again, I mean, Kelsey, he's on the COVID list, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see about that one. We'll move right along. Broncos, Raiders. Yeah, Bridgewater. He
Pick
got
'em.
got knocked out.
What's the latest on him? Have you heard?
He's out for this game for sure.
I mean, he's walking, right? He's not like
Oh yeah,
paralyzed.
yeah, no, yeah, he got released from the hospital. It was weird. Like I didn't even know the severity of the injury, and like I was looking at like him being doubtful, and then like he gets out of the hospital, and I'm like thinking I'm waiting for him to be ruled to play, but then people, then he was like officially announced out, but it was like obvious that he was going to be announced out, but it wasn't announced right away, so it kind of threw me off.
Yeah, I think that was like one of those precautionary ones. They were saying pretty early on that he had movement in all his extremities and everything, and it didn't even look like one of those bad ones. It was a weird one.
I didn't even see it. But it was weird. There was another one kind of similar to what you just explained. It didn't look that bad, but the guy got taken out on a stretcher. I don't know if it was college or what. It was in the end zone. Um,
Yeah,
I forget.
yeah, they're real careful with that stuff now.
Guy removed the face mask. He was having like a seizure. Joe Buck was the announcer. It was a
Oh,
college.
they had the old screw gun out on the face mask. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, freaking, and Joe Buck was, the guy was having a seizure, and Joe Buck said something like, "That's a good sign he's moving his arms," but the guy was shaking his arms, like, in the air, having, like, one of those seizures when you get knocked out,
Oh
and
yeah, where they just kind of like kibbying.
yeah, and he had to, make, like, a public apology saying, like, on air. It was pretty funty. Not that
Geez.
I get knocked out, but Buck obviously saying, "It's a good sign he's moving his arms," and the guy was obviously, like.
Oh wow, it was like a convulsion type of move. No,
Right, right. So, yeah, look up the clip because it was going viral that day. It was pretty funny. But yeah, Bridgewater, he's out, and it's gonna be Lock. Um,
People hate Joe Buck, but and,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Boston people especially hate Joe Buck. They always thought that he was against the Red Sox and stuff, but like I never really bought
I like.
into that. But I like Buck and Aikman right now. To me, are the best NFL broadcast team.
Really, you like Aikman, huh?
I like Aikman a lot. When you are listening to a game and Aikman's doing it, it sounds like a big game. It feels like a big game.
Yeah, see
Some
that.
of these other guys, the newer guys, it's like it's like I'm listening to a talk show with a football game happening in the background.
Right.
Like Monday night especially, God, they have no chemistry. The safety, or I forget who he was, but him and Brian Greasy,
Yep.
um, it's literally like and Levy isn't great either as the host. Um,
You watch much of the Mann brothers, like how they do that?
I do. I I like that, but
Yeah,
I don't it's a cool thing, but I can't do it for the whole game. It feels like I'm not really watching the game or something. I don't know. It's a little different.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
but
surprised they carry it the whole game. I'm surprised that the Mannings like can carry it through the whole game.
yeah, no, they've had guests on sometimes. And oh, I'm thinking of Lewis Riddick. It's Lewis Riddick and Brian Greasy right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
they haven't had a good Monday night team in a while. I mean, remember Booger McFarland or
yeah,
Jason Witten and Gruden? I guess was the last good one.
yeah. I like the group.
Yeah,
What do you got for the Monday night game? I know you got COVIDed on this game,
yeah. This
but
sucks, man. I wish I could take this one back.
it isn't a loss yet. You never know.
I know it's funny. I've already written it off as a loss, but it's like you never know. It's like you're saying the opening line. Who knows? But yeah. I mean, I this was one that was purely on my numbers.
Yeah.
I had my numbers up above 3 on this. Um, where do they have this? Almost at 6, and that
Yeah.
sounds crazy. And but my numbers factor in a lot of things, and it still came out that way. And so, I I just think defense is so underrated and undervalued when teams are evaluating teams.
Yeah.
They just it's like almost human nature. They weight the offense so much more than they weight the defense instead of weighing them as two equals. You
No,
know, and
I agree.
and I saw, maybe, I've heard people make a really good case for Miami even before the COVID thing. They're kind of saying how, oh, everyone saw them beat Tampa Bay on prime time, blah blah blah. But I think the same can be said about Miami. Everyone has seen them win 7 straight, and people are kind of falling in love with them. I think they're overrated right now too. Um, and a lot of those wins have been against bad teams.
Really bad teams like the Jets twice, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah. So, um, but New Orleans is having such a hard time scoring right now.
Uh,
Um, to for them to win by 4, but I don't know. All those things I thought my number is one of the few situations where my number is different by almost a field goal. So I
right.
fired on it. Now obviously we're going with and I think Simeon's out too, and so now we're down to Ian Book, who's a Notre Dame guy. I mean, I
Yeah,
watched him play a lot of football over the years for the Irish.
I know you're an ND guy, and I saw that when he got named the starter.
Yeah, I saw him play a lot of good football. He's a smart kid. He's
Yeah,
a game manager, accurate, moves the chains kind of guy.
yeah.
That was in college. Obviously, it's a very different story here. Doesn't have a big arm. I don't know. And Miami, man, I'm so high on Brian Flores right now.
I
Like,
know. I feel like you have been like that whole staff or like the Miami team, and I'm
yeah,
the, I feel like they're almost like the JV or freshman version of the Patriots.
yeah. Well, people have been plucking people off the Patriots staff for years, and I think Miami actually hit on one with Flores.
Yep, I
Seems
agree.
like a great leader and low key, like great at developing young players.
Yeah,
You know, like, they've had a ton of draft picks, and he's actually developing these guys. They've got a lot of young talent. It looks like they're developing Tua pretty well. There's been some moments where it looks like maybe he's shit, but they've kind of gotten the most out of him, I feel like, to this point. And yeah, they're developing young players really well. I think that's a franchise that's going to be, in the mix for years to come. Just even what he did this year, they were 1-6 or 1-7, and then to kind of steady the ship and get them back in playoff contention.
right.
That's
Great.
you know,
They
so
a lot of close games too. Like even their losses, they've been right in it. Did you see Tua? I like Tua when he tucks the ball, starts to run. He truck sticked a dude last week. I want to say it was like a linebacker or something. But
no kidding.
what's that?
I said no, I didn't see that, but
Yeah, it was a highlight.
some
He lowered the boom. I kind of like I like Waddle. He's gonna be back this week. I've been high on him since in my fantasy preseason write up. He was
yeah,
like a guy I targeted. I had him in um, two of my leagues, which I got disqualified from. But he gets like 8 targets a game. So I'm looking at props for him this week. I think him coming back, he'll be peppered with some targets there. But this total
yeah.
total keeps getting bet under.
So
Uh,
I actually like the under here. I know it's a low number. I like the under a little bit. It's probably my favorite total this week. Um,
Down to like
but
30, 37.
37 and a half, yeah. Somebody made a good point. I was talking to somebody about this fucking disaster with taking New Orleans -3, and they were making their case for Miami to me, and they they pointed this stat out that New Orleans is, I think, last in the league on defending pass plays, underneath pass plays, which are defined as between 1 and 10 yards down the field. They're last in the league in that category of defense, and that's where Miami really does a lot of its work. If you watch Miami's games, Tua is not pushing the ball down the field a lot. He's doing a lot of dinking and dunking, slants, quick outs, running back flares, that sort of thing. Um, so that kind of is
You
another.
Um, it's like the intermediate routes under 10 yards or 15
Yeah,
yards.
yeah, yeah.
You know what's weird is after I don't even know when it was, early in the year, they were dead last in defending explosive pass plays.
Huh.
Um,
Maybe
Lattimore.
it's been an over an adjustment. You
Yeah,
know.
right. I think you might be right because I want to say I did like kind of some write up on that, but that it kind of surprised me. And I don't know if it was since they lost a cornerback or something, but it was an interesting stat. So to hear the complete reverse now, or not the complete reverse, but them, you would think that they would be like dead last in just defending the pass if it's both deep ball and intermediate ball. But yeah, I think that is gonna do it. Yeah, you got anything
Yeah.
else, Mike?
No.
Rich, I
What
should
do
say.
you what do you got going on for Christmas?
Um, Christmas is gonna be just here. I mean, I got the whole COVID bullshit. Lil's man's has COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's good.
my brother had it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my brother and his wife and kids.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of keep it low key. Tonight's really the night that um like we celebrate.
Yeah.
Rick and Audrey next door. They throw a ripper that gets pretty crazy. But I'm launching the class on Monday finally, so I want to try to get another video or two added to it. So I might even be in the lab. Um,
Nice.
what do you think? A story or no?
Let's save the good one for when we've got
Yeah,
some live listeners.
yeah. Sounds good to me, man. All right,
Yeah.
so that's gonna do it for NFL Week 16. Got a couple more weeks left, so then it's just gonna be like playoff time. But
So wait, we gonna do a podcast play? What do you think?
oh, that's right. Yeah, good thing. Good reminded me.
I we already know that I got two best bets. Do you have a best bet out yet this week? Or I
I
got three actually with New
I
Orleans.
got the over in that Arizona Indy game, but
Do you like the under in this New Orleans game? Or no?
I do, but it's so low right now. I liked it
Yeah,
at
I
like
know.
at 37. We'd have to take it. What
Let me see.
want to go with Arizona? I mean, I know it's your best bet, but
What
no,
else did we have?
be a
What
play
about
best bet.
Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota. You like them enough?
3.5? Yeah.
Yeah, plus 3.5.
Yeah.
All right, lock it in. All the people listening and keeping records, document it.
Podcast play of the week. We got one last week.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know an official podcast play of the week. But
Here we
all right,
go.
guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in and be safe tonight. Don't
Uh,
be a square and drink and drive or get in the car with someone friggin' drinking and driving.
and really don't drink and bet. Even
Yeah,
worse.
but well, thank God there's no games tonight to bet.
Yeah,
Isn't
that's right. Yeah.
depressing. I bet a horse race earlier today. Pretty sure the horse put down after the he came in dead last.
That was worth it though for a few people to get some action in.
Yeah, right.
Fucking the horse's life.
Yep, exactly. But
Yeah.
all right, we'll see you guys next weekend. We'll be in the community.
Alrighty.
All right. Later.